We've seen some pretty crazy design choices and mechanics since the release of Black Ops 6. Today we're going to be discussing just that and deciding what's good, what's bad, and what's really ugly. To start things off, I want to take a look at some tweets by Iceman Isaac, and these go back maybe a few days, but the first one I want to look at is what he said on December 10th. He said, Warzone's yearly cycle. Make some good changes, make even more bad changes, ignore feedback at Call of Duty Next, launch a buggy mess, players abandon Warzone for the year, numbers down everywhere, trickling changes we've been asking for, players rejoice, but damage is done, repeat. And that is kind of exactly what happens. With Black Ops 6, we saw the integration bring things like Omni movement, but it also ruined pretty much every perk. Ton of bugs just came in out of nowhere, things that we hadn't seen since the beginning of Urzikstan. A lot of weapons were completely busted, and all around, it just made the game unplayable for a lot of people, and that's exactly why we're seeing people leave up until today. And officially, they've been putting in a ton of changes that have made the game much better. Now, I have to give them props where props are due. Raven Software is on the ball this year, and I don't know if it's to do with the fact that Verdansk is coming out next year and they want to ensure that they have the best opportunity to make the biggest splash possible, but maybe that's what it is. That's the only thing that I can imagine, but there's more to it than just that. He also added in to talk about something the other day. Iceman Isaac said, people defending Warzone right now, leave the multi-billion-dollar company alone. And he said, if you enjoy Warzone right now, that's awesome. And I will note this is quite a few days ago. If you enjoy Warzone right now, that's awesome. For me, devs killed Warzone with Warzone 2. We're talking about Infinity Ward. Openly mocked players, saying that it was because of the data. The numbers plummeted, so they backtracked in Modern Warfare 3. Thanks to Raven, only to spit in our faces with more movement/aim penalties in Black Ops 6. We loved OG 2020 Warzone. Too bad. Their preferences matter more now. And I will note there's been some developers in the space that have said things along the lines of, well, I don't like this and that's why it was removed. But I don't really, and I'm not trying to take up for these people right here, but I don't think that's exactly what they meant. I think realistically, there's a lot of people behind the scenes that are talking about these things and deciding whether or not specific mechanics should be in the game, specific mechanics should be out of the game. And the issue is that, again, they look at data rather than looking at whether or not players actually have fun. And I think this is something that kind of leans into the matchmaking system. And I've talked about this before, but you know, the matchmaking system is pretty manipulative to the average player, and people don't realize that. So, of course, if engagement optimized matchmaking works and it makes them more money, they assume that people must love the game because they're playing longer. Well, realistically, most people play a little bit longer and then they never come back to the game. That's the problem. They try their asses off. They want to give it their best go, and then they just give up. And that's kind of how it goes quite often. Now, I will say, if you go over, and we're going to talk about this in just a second, if you go to my page, I actually talked about why, like I retweeted his tweet, Iceman Isaac, and I know I'm not sitting here trying to suck off Isaac or anything like that, but he's had some pretty valid takes as of late. And a lot of people say, hey, why don't you just switch platforms or switch games? You should do that. And basically, it's in response to this guy right here. The original tweet said, tell you what, put me in a position of power in your career. Because it was originally to this tweet. This guy said, why don't you just switch games, blah, 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 blah. He said, tell you what, put me in a position of power in your career. Let me torture your income year after year for the next 4 years due to gross negligence, and then we'll see how positive you are. Sound like a plan? Even if it's just a game, the treatment of their core fans/players who fell in love with Warzone in 2020 has been nothing short of disrespectful. Matthew says, you want some crazy high skill gap, which isn't a good idea in my opinion. Gamers don't have the time to play like you do. There are plenty of ultra competitive shooters out there that I'm sure you would enjoy. Playing one game 10 hours a day for 4 years would be unenjoyable for anyone. And that's not exactly true. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm having a blast in Warzone right now. All throughout Modern Warfare 3, I had a blast in Warzone. It's because they continuously added in little things that we kept asking for over and over and over. And you'd see that happen over and over. But one thing I kind of want to point out is that he said, you want some crazy high skill gap, which isn't a good idea in my opinion. And a lot of people are going to say the same thing, right? A lot of people are going to say a high skill gap is bad. However, we're not getting rid of engagement optimized matchmaking. We're not getting rid of any of that. So to sit there and have the conversation saying that there shouldn't be a skill gap doesn't really make sense, and take it from someone that back in Warzone 2 said the exact opposite. My opinion has changed entirely since then, and the reason why is because I realized that their data means nothing. It means absolutely nothing. So when people are saying whether or not there should or shouldn't be a skill gap, most of the time it's not going to affect you. And I think that that's kind of the big misunderstanding, is that people think it's going to affect me, but in reality, it's all placebo. And I know that this sounds rude, and I realize that it sounds like I'm sitting here telling you, you're crazy, you're wrong. But in reality, the average player is not going to deal with 99% of the bugs that someone that plays 8 hours a day is. And this isn't in response to Isaac or trying to make someone else feel better about, you know, them being a streamer or something like that. I've said this 1,000 times. I am not friends with content creators. I'm just not. There's not people out there that I'm like best buddies with, and I want to make sure that they succeed. Don't get me wrong. There's people that I think are good people, and I want to see them succeed, but I'm not going to do something to make sure that they succeed. You know what I'm saying? So just understand that my goal is to be as honest as I can, and my ideas are to ensure that everyone in the community, not just a very specific audience that's going to spend the most money for Activision to ensure their wallets are blowing up. I want to make sure every player is happy, not just a very specific set of players. And I specifically don't give a damn about what streamers think, because in most scenarios, streamers do have a wild sense of what should be good and what shouldn't be good, and they continuously forget about the average player and their own audience. I had a conversation with a content creator recently that makes tip videos, and they blocked me after I gave my opinion on their opinion, and they got mad saying, why can't you let me have my opinion? I'm telling you, I absolutely agree with a lot of the people in the comment section that fuss about these content creators. I hear you. And I agree with you, but there are certain things that you really have to look at the facts of the situation and not your feelings, because sometimes your feelings are misleading, and you shouldn't always affirm those feelings, ladies and gentlemen. Regardless, let's see what he had to actually say. He said, you have no clue what you're talking about. It's not a skill gap issue. I had my highest KD ever right now, 10 plus. It's a player enjoyment issue. I'm not asking for something unobtainable. I'm asking for the game to return to its roots, and every change away pushes players away. Now, what we came here for was a completely different thing, right? We came here to look at this. And this is in response to Super Ace that said something in response to another one of his tweets. And what he said was, can't say it tortures your income when there are thousands of other games out there, man. I'm the biggest COD/Activision hater, ATP, but many content creators have pulled back, went to Fortnite, Marvel Rivals, extraction shooters, etc. If you know it's been bad and didn't branch out, that's on you. This is a big misconception about how content creation works, how YouTube works, how Twitch works, how a bunch of different things work, and a lot of people get it wrong. And I'm not here to tell you that content creation is the hardest job in the world, but I will say, as of late, I've been putting in 12 to 14-hour days every single day. I'm, recording my videos. I'm editing my videos myself. I'm making 2 videos a day, 60 videos a month minimum, 61, 62, depending on the month, just to make sure that I'm getting out the content that I need to get out. So there's a big misconception about how content creation works. And I'm not going to say that it's the hardest job on the planet. There's plenty of people that have harder jobs than me, and I don't even come close. I love my job. I really do. But there's a big misconception about how everything works, and I think Isaac does a great job of clearing this up. He says, in response, he says, just abandon your community. Don't leverage your platform for change. Risk destroying your channel in the YouTube algorithm by posting on random games and fragmenting your audience, which is the biggest thing. Not everyone is Tim the Tap Man, brother. It's as easy to just switch games in one of the most... I don't know what he's saying here. It's as easy as just switch games in one of the most competitive career fields out there. And it is. Everybody wants to be a YouTuber, and pretty much a lot of people fuss about content creators because they're incredibly jealous. And I know that sounds goofy, but it is the truth. And at some point, I've even had to come to accept that, because I try my best to take people at their word. But sometimes you interact with people and you realize that it comes down to jealousy, and it sucks, because I want to take people at their word and I want to trust everybody, but you just can't do that. I can be as empathetic as physically possible, and sometimes that's not really what people are looking for. They're lashing out at people because they can't have the same situation that they're in, and they just, it's always a situation of the grass is greener, but I digress. Anyway, He says, I'll absolutely do it someday, and I'm working towards it, but it's not something you do on a whim when your mortgage and food is on the line. More than anything, I built my community around Call of Duty and wish we could enjoy the game like the old days, which we did back in Verdansk. It was a blast, and I realized a lot of that comes with rose-tinted glasses, R-O-Z-E. We're talking about the skin, rose-tinted glasses. A lot of that comes with rose-tinted glasses that happened during COVID, and so just know, obviously, some of these mechanics are a little bit different just because the game has progressed. He says, nostalgia isn't holding us back. Dev decisions are, which I do agree with right there. And I don't necessarily know if it's specifically the developers or if it's the people above them telling them we need to make sure that this is ready for this time. And we want to make sure that this is maximizing the profit and stuff like that. He said their pride and selfish vision versus the overwhelming community's wants is the most frustrating part of this entire process. And I think to that, I very much agree. And we're going to look at a video in just a second discussing how money and ego have become the exact reason why Call of Duty has been failing in the capacity that it is. And again, I'm not here to sit here and suck off Iceman Isaac. That's not the point. My point here is that I think a lot of people misconstrue what content creators are doing. And I think that a lot of people misconstrue what's actually going on behind the scenes. People make assumptions, people make decisions based on certain things that just aren't true in the slightest. And so, ironically, we actually have a video discussing some ways that the Treyarch developers are out of touch, and we're going to dive into that now. The video we're going to be checking out is titled Treyarch Devs Are Just Plain Out of Touch. Fun always comes first, LOL. And it's by neroscinema, and again, this is one of those people that does tend to have a lot of videos talking smack about the game, so take that as you will, just the same as me. There's a lot of videos that I have where I've talked negatively about the game, but I do have fun in the game. So take a lot of what this is with a grain of salt. However, let's see what points he has to make here, and we'll decide how accurate or how valid his opinions are.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to Black Ops 6. I'm making this video here today because I just read an article and it really rubbed me the wrong way. But most of the time when it comes to Call of Duty, they don't usually rub me the right way anymore, but this especially annoyed me. So Miles Leslie, who's the associate creative director over at Treyarch, did an interview with Dexerto, how do you pronounce that website's name? I've never heard it said, I've only read.
I will say, whenever it comes to Dexerto, it is one of the worst news companies I've ever seen, and they just have the weirdest opinions. It's like going to IGN for reviews. That's what I'd say. I would go to Dexerto the same time that I go to IGN for their reviews. Let's just put it that way, okay? Don't go to Dexerto for news.
Reddit, but Dexerto, whatever the hell, he did an interview with them talking about the skins within Black Ops 6 and how fun always comes first. That's kind of like the tagline of the entire article. I'm not going to read the entire thing out to you guys, but here's going to be the really important part. In a conversation with Dexerto, Miles Leslie, the associate creative director at Treyarch, spoke a bit about these cosmetics and the balance of fun versus realism. Fun always comes first for us, Leslie explained. Of course, we want to stay grounded in the DNA that makes a Black Ops game unique when it comes to core gameplay, but we also like to break the rules if it's going to maximize fun for players.
And I think that's perfectly fine. I don't know if I fall within a specific category of players that are completely fine with Fortnite skins or not, but I do believe that we're in a world where microtransactions just happen. It is a fact of life, and there's quite literally nothing that we can do about it. Microtransactions are going to happen. They're going to happen the way that they're going to happen, and we can't change that unless the government steps in like they did with loot boxes. So when it comes to purchasing skins, I don't think there's a big issue with people being a shark per se, or Nicki Minaj or something like that. Don't get me wrong, I think it's a little goofy that they like way over sexualized Nicki Minaj's skin, and there was a glitch back in the day where you would basically zoom in on her chest in the pregame lobby and you'd be sitting there like, boys? Someone want to get this off my screen? Your kid walks by, you're just looking at a big, you know what I'm saying? So I think there's some things that really just aren't that great, and there's other things that are, neither here nor there. And I would like to remind everybody that Call of Duty is an arcade shooter. There's a lot of people that fall within the category of saying Call of Duty needs to be as realistic as physically possible, and then they forget that Call of Duty has quite literally never been realistic, even way back in the day, with a ton of different things. We have not any perks in real life, okay? You can't carry 73 grenades. You can't like slide cancel past. I mean, slide canceling we've seen actually does exist. It's a little crazy, and you should look up the videos of it. There's this guy that goes around and paintball and just like slide cancels on people. It's crazy. It is wild. But that's neither here nor there. Regardless, let's keep going.
When it comes to cosmetics, the Black Ops series naturally lends itself to some pretty outlandish themes when you consider we're the birthplace of Call of Duty Zombies and all the crazy mindfuckery that comes with the storytelling in our games, so we like to have fun there too. The team has already delivered some of my all-time favorite operator skins, and we're only in the first season.
And again, I think that's pretty fair. That's pretty accurate. If you go back and you think about all of the old gameplay styles and stuff like that, I think if I can find it, Carnage Apollo actually tweeted something out recently, and it was discussing some of the older maps within Call of Duty. And yeah, so if we look at this, you can see Carnage Apollo tweeted out, let's not forget about these masterpieces of maps that we had back in Black Ops 3. And Black Ops 3 was one of my all-time favorites whenever it came to the series. So, you know, we have this insanely crazy theme park, the water park. You have where you're shrunken down and you're on a picnic table. We have this absolute beauty of a map. Obviously, this was more realistic, and so was this. But these were very kind of cartoonish and very vibrant and bright and fun. And that's something I've always chased. I remember having conversations with my dad growing up about why he loved Treyarch games, and it's because it was very bright and vibrant, and they got most of the things right. And don't get me wrong, I'm a big fan of Treyarch whenever it comes to the developers of these games. Black Ops tends to be where I kind of lean towards whenever it comes to which developers I like the most. Now, don't get me wrong, I love Raven the most, and I will openly say that I think Raven does a great job and they always have the players in mind. However, I do think some of these companies, like I mentioned earlier, get a bit of an ego whenever it comes to what they want in games, and it affects Warzone, when Warzone, in my opinion, should be its own standalone title, and they can choose, Raven Software can choose what they want to pull from the new games, rather than having to do with whatever, you know, the current title is, and try and keep up with that, and constantly revert changes, and then, you know, mess everything up. And I think that's kind of a big issue that we've been looking at recently. But regardless, my point here is that we do lean towards kind of goofy things whenever it comes to Treyarch. There's a lot of different things that Treyarch has done in the past to showcase that they like making kind of goofy, fun, arcade-style maps and arcade-style guns and a lot of stuff like that. So this is nothing new in the slightest whenever it comes to the way that things look, cosmetics, and things of that nature.
The rest of the article kind of goes on to talk about the difference between fun and realism, but the final point is don't expect crazy skins or anything like that to go away within Black Ops 6 or any future game within the COD franchise, because according to Miles, fun always comes first, and it's always about the fun that the fans can have within their game.
And I'm going to pause it there because I will say, if you look, that's simply not the case. They have in the past based things directly on data that is there to build engagement. And if you haven't noticed, the world doesn't always give engagement and fun on the same plate, right? You never get like the right ingredients to make fun. Sometimes you can get somebody engaged because they're pissed off. And in fact, that's a lot of what my videos end up being. They see a title for the video and then they come in and they have comments that kind of talk about the things that are really annoying them. If you go in the comments down below, there's going to be plenty of people that are just pissed about random things, and that's life. And people come in and they will watch my videos longer because they're mad at me. I get people that hate watch me all the time. So when you look at the data and things of that nature to figure out, like, are people having fun? Well, that might not be what they're sticking around for there, buddy. So you can't exactly assume that the data means fun. The data may just mean engaged. And engagement equals money. So that's kind of why they do the real stuff that they actually do.
The problem I have with this is what he's describing is nothing but shop bundles, essentially. Fun always comes first. They want fans to always have fun. Well, how come the stuff that we earn in game is never as crazy or as fun, quote unquote, as what we see in the shop?
You know what? This might be the first time I've ever thought about that. And to be fair, I think someone may have tried to mention this to me the other day that, hey, like, why isn't I can't unlock these things? Right? Why is it that I have to buy all the skins that are sharks and things like that? And I kind of agree with that. I think we've seen games in the past that have allowed these to not just be unlockable or not just be paid. They end up being unlockable, right? I think we've seen, maybe I'm crazy, maybe like H1Z1 or PUBG did that, and you had like some goofy skins that you could just unlock, but you don't really see that in Call of Duty now that I think about it. Even the Black Cell operators are real. They're like Milsim style characters. And I will say, actually, in Warzone 2, we saw the Groot skin. I don't know what the hell it's actually called, but we saw the Groot skin, and that's pretty much the closest thing we've had to something that's unlockable, that's fun. And ironically, we all hated it because it was completely see-through and impossible to see in the dark and so many different things. So what the hell? But I digress on that topic. The point is that you really don't get these things that are unlockable in the game.
Prestige Master, right? I finished the whole Season 1 Battle Pass as well. Therefore, I have every earnable thing you can get in the game. I did all the zombies Easter eggs. I've done everything I can. I've earned everything that is earnable within Black Ops 6 in terms of like a player cosmetic. And some of them are good, like the Noct Raider here, for example. I think that looks pretty good. And going back to what he said, it's...
But again, right here, it's still very like realistic to Call of Duty. It's still very like war-torn type vibes. It's not a freaking shark, right?
Next to that core DNA of the Black Ops universe that makes it kind of feel unique. Like, I get that. It's multiplayer and it's a zombie, but, you know, it fits the Black Ops universe. The Teddy is a Liar weapon blueprint is fantastic. The STG blueprint is freaking good. The My Name Is skin, that's Mason, of course. That all looks fine. Cool. Like, it doesn't look too crazy or too outlandish. It does fit within, like, the realm of possibility within the Black Ops universe. Even the Prestige Master skin, Sitting Bull Reborn, although you guys have heard of pay to win. Well, we're talking about play to lose, because the skin is nearly always glowing for me. It's not only like a Nuketown problem, it's an every map problem, essentially.
That's actually really interesting. I haven't seen anybody use this skin a single time, so I'm kind of curious how that would affect players in Warzone, or if it's just like a multiplayer thing.
Actually, if you run this skin, chances are you're going to be glowing as you're running around the map, which gives you away a lot more, and basically you're playing to lose by using this skin. You even look at the battle pass, like the final reward. You get some tattooed thighs here and some booty shorts, but it's nothing real.
Whoa, 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 get that off my screen, get that up, whoa, ladies and gentlemen, put your kids away from watching. Oh, wait, I forgot Call of Duty's an 18 plus video, or a video game. Why are you letting your kids watch stuff like this? Don't get mad at content creators for making content on an 18 plus video. You got to lock it in. All right. Let's parent a little bit better. I'm just kidding. Here, look at the booty.
Really crazy.
Enjoy.
And on the normal battle pass itself, not the Black Cell version, the only really decent rewards, in my opinion, and of course that's subjective, but the blueprint for the SOG, which has that blood effect, that looks pretty good. And then the Krieg, which has that wave effect, that looks really cool and pairs very well with Dark Matter. So yeah, those things are pretty good on the battle pass, but by and large, we don't really get anything crazy by playing the game or with the battle pass or anything like that. If you want,
and I don't know if he's going to go into it, but there's a lot of like mastercrafts and things of that nature that are in the game that are physically not able to be grabbed or, you know, unlocked without you paying for it. And I'm not a big fan of that. I wish that there were mastercrafts that like change as you get more eliminations and things like that. I wish there were things that allowed you to unlock them. I think it's a little bit goofy that we've seen in the past. I think with Blackout, maybe I'm crazy that they allowed that, but now they're really locking everything that's super cool behind a paywall. And I think that is a little gross. I'm not going to lie to you. I haven't thought about this in a really long time. I never really pay attention to the store and stuff like that. I mean, I might take a look at it while I'm online seeing what they've got, and maybe Raven Software, hey, I'm going to take a second. If you're listening to me, can we fix the models in the store to where when they're holding a gun, it's in their hand, not sticking out of it randomly? Because my graphics design guy, Axel, the dude that like helps put these up on YouTube with me, he's dying. He's about to lose his mind. So please, I'm begging. And look, I know that's a lot of people don't care about that, but God Almighty, it is something, man. Hey, if we're making the store the #1 priority, I'm just saying it could be crazy. Could be crazy if we fix something like that. Could be cool.
Want some crazy stuff, you're going to need to go in the shop. If we head into the shop here, we have a Cell Shaded Girl for $20. We have Raccoon Man for $28. Shark Boy for $24. Vampire They Them with visual effects for $24. Parasite Man for $24.
What? You say Vampire
Girl
They
for
Them?
$20. We have Raccoon Man for $28. Shark Boy for $24.
What? Where? What?
Vampire They Them with visual effects for $24. Parasite Man for $24. And then finally, the Iron Crusader for $20.
Actually, the Iron Crusader is super sick. I'm not going to lie to you. That is super sick. And if I was not in refusal to spend money on this game, that would be the one that I'm buying. And I recommend that you also don't spend money on this game. Even though these skins are super cool, do not spend money on this game. Let them focus on things that matter a little bit more, okay? Even if this is realistically not going to hurt their pocket, it just feels much better morally to not spend money on this stuff. You know what I mean?
This brings up an entire topic of conversation for me because this skin lines up very well with the new Citadel Zombies map, which is set in a castle, involves ancient knights, the new wonder weapons are swords, there's a giant paladin warrior boss fight, there's dragon decor everywhere. This knight skin right here would tie in very well to Citadel as a reward for, say, completing the Easter egg after round.
That's a great freaking point. I don't mean to be the guy that brings up Fortnite, but have you noticed that in Fortnite, sometimes they'll just give you skins? I'm pretty sure they recently gave out a Juice World skin to anybody that logged in during a Juice World event. Call of Duty, what are you doing, dude? Like, it is insane to me that y'all are not giving people things for free, just for logging in, just for being there. Like, these free rewards would help boost your player base. It would help boost the numbers. Sure, they might get on and immediately get off, or maybe they're like, well, maybe I hop on with the boys when we play a game, and then I play with the skin, and then we have a good time. Like, I don't know how people are not seeing things like this, but again, like he's saying, it would have been a great skin that would have been rewarded with the new Zombies map because it's kind of a medieval theme. So I don't know, maybe
50 or something difficult like that. In the interview, we're going to re-quote it one more time. Miles Leslie said that, quote, fun always comes first for us, but of course we want to stay grounded in the DNA that makes a Black Ops game unique when it comes to core gameplay, but we also like to break the rules if it's going to maximize fun for players. Well, what, may I ask, is necessarily fun about spending $20 for a skin that is obviously themed around the new Zombies map? If you want to talk about fun, the community finds it fun to be able to show off their in-game accomplishments. I ask you, dear viewer, how many times in your experience so far with Black Ops 6 have you seen people running around with the Liberty Falls Easter egg calling card? Maybe even the Terminus Easter egg calling card. Even in multiplayer, they're still rocking that calling card. Or how about the Liberty Falls Easter egg in under 30 minutes calling card, or the new Citadel Easter egg calling card? Players find it fun to show off their...
I've actually seen that quite a bit. I'm not going to lie to you. A lot of people actually really love calling cards. I'm not that kind of guy. I don't really like rush in and try and get calling cards or emblems or anything like that because realistically, I don't find them very cool. But I've seen a lot of people with some pretty cool calling cards, and now you're able to see them while you're spectating, which, hey, maybe we fix spectating sometime soon? Maybe we make spectating work to where we know who's cheating and who's not cheating? Would that be too crazy? Now that we can see calling cards? Maybe just a thought. Maybe do that. But my point is here, like, a lot of people do love this stuff. I personally don't care in the slightest, but if we are going to be putting fun first and showcasing that people want to unlock these things, which is the whole reason that we have camo grinds every single year, why can't you unlock cool skins? I feel like that's
accomplishments and their achievements. Heck, even I use the Dark Matter Indeed calling card and the Prestige Master level 70 emblem. Of course I'm going to rock that calling card because I had to go through and not only do all the Darkspine challenges, but then do all the Dark Matter challenges on everything, including the baseball bat and the launchers and the marksman rifles and all that stuff, right? Of course I'm going to rock that calling card. It makes me look like a huge fucking nerd. And that...
like, the amount of accuracy that came with the statement that he just gave, way too damn much. Wait, like, look, bro, if I see a dude, I need to be very clear. If you're rocking Dark Matter and I eliminate you in Warzone, I am shooting your body every time. Every time. I want you to know that I spent like 30 hours trying to unlock Nebula and I haven't gotten it yet, dude. I still didn't get it done. But I would expect for you to shoot my body if I got Nebula. All right? Because, dude, you do look like a big old nerd. And you lost? You did all these challenges to lose? Are you serious, dude? I do think it's very funny whenever... don't get me wrong. Playtime does not equal skill. Like, in any form or fashion. I just think it's very funny that sometimes it's like, man, this dude spent all this time and still lost a gunfight. Embarrassing.
That is the point. Fans like grinding the game and want to be rewarded for their commitment. That is fun. So why is the reward for beating the Citadel Easter egg this skin right here? And I'm not here to say that the skin is bad or anything like that, but it goes...
All right. I'm going to say the skin's bad.
Back to what I was talking about earlier. That quote, the idea of staying grounded in the DNA that makes a Black Ops game unique, that only applies to those of us who are not paying extra money and instead grind the game a ton, which makes their player retention numbers look good. I can honestly say that I've seen exactly 0 people running around with the Iron Crusader skin, but if it were tied to a fun...
I think that more players are going to be buying skins for Warzone. And let me kind of give you an idea as to why that is. I think Warzone's completely free, right? Well, I know it is. Warzone's completely free, right? So anybody can hop on, anybody can play it. Obviously, you have to have an account, you have to have a phone number, yada, yada, yada. But Warzone itself, 100% free. So people hop in, they spend a little bit of time, they like the game. I didn't have to spend money on this game, so they spend it in microtransactions. This has actually been like kind of the idea behind Fortnite, is that Fortnite completely free battle royale. That's the exact reason that Warzone came completely free, is to get as many players as you can. It's free, and then when we drop skins for weapons or, you know, your player skins, then people are going to end up wanting to buy it. So obviously, if he's just playing multiplayer, you're probably less likely to see specific skins. I'm not saying people won't purchase it, because obviously they purchased the game. They won't feel bad in spending money on something, but people are more likely to spend it on a free game so that they feel like, all right, I really like this game. Let me pay my subscription or whatever. And I get that all the time. To be very clear, I actually... one of the reasons I stopped streaming, and this is a little bit personal, I'm going to go full screen for this. One of the reasons I stopped streaming quite some time ago is because we're going into story mode, but I used to be a server. What I used to do was I used to be a waiter. I'd go out and I'd, work at restaurants and stuff like that. I was a really good waiter. My goal was entertainment. I was your entertainment for the night. Obviously, certain times, you got to be not the entertainer for the night and just do your job, because certain people don't like the entertainment. But obviously, I was mostly the entertainer. And the big thing is that I like just doing my job. Now, I do firmly believe in tipping your servers. I am go out, you start at 20%, you either go higher or lower depending on the way that you do your job, right? If my drink ever goes empty, boy oh boy, is a whole different ballgame. However, the big thing is the longer I did that, the more I realized I just don't really like my money coming to me based on how people feel, right? And so the longer I did that and the more I did it, the more I was like, all right, I do like that my job can be based on how good I am at my job. That's the one thing about being a server, is that most of the time people recognize that you're good at your job. So when I moved into streaming, it was kind of the same thing, right? But the issue is I'm not a big fan of people handing me money. I make content for a living. I would much rather you watch my videos, watch them all the way through, get served ads, and watch the ads, right? Because I don't want you to have to take your hard-earned money and hand it to me. It's just not my thing. So basically, people kind of had to explain to me, hey, Expel, I kind of treat you as my Netflix subscription, right? So I will give you these $5 every single month instead of paying $13 to Netflix, because I watch you a lot more than I watch Netflix. And look, I want to be very, very clear. I appreciate the hell out of you. That is never my goal. I never want anybody to have to give me money. I never want anybody to have to feel like they need to help pay for my bills. In fact, the only time that I'm okay with money being thrown at me is whenever I say, hey, we're raising funds for a very specific video and we're going to do a very specific thing. And that I'm okay with. I'm very happy with that. But I don't like the idea of people having to give me money because they feel like they need to, which brings us back to this, which is Warzone does that exact thing where they kind of trick you into wanting to spend the money on the game, which is fine. Which is fine. That's absolutely fine. If people feel like they're getting whatever they need to out of the game, the enjoyment and the time spent, then sure, spend some money on the game, because you kind of get something out of it too. But the point is that's what they're doing, and that's why you're kind of going to see Warzone skins more often than you are multiplayer skins. Not to say multiplayer skins don't pop up. In fact, you're probably going to see quite a few of them. But my point is there's a lot more that show up in Warzone than there ever will be in multiplayer.
there's that buzzword again, challenge that requires a bit of commitment and skill, I guarantee you would see a lot more of them in multiplayer and zombies because fans would be proud of their achievement and they'd want to stand out and show off what they did. The same thing is true of the Maya skin that you get for doing the Terminus Easter egg, right? You see that skin all the time in multiplayer because people earned it, they like it, they want to show it off, and going full circle here, I just hate this narrative that they want to bend the rules to maximize fun. You're not doing that. You're maximizing profits by making the shop bundles way crazier than the earnable rewards that we have in the game. Just come out and say it like it is. You want the craziest stuff in the game to be behind a paywall that costs half of what the game retails for.
Which is crazy. If you think about the prices of the things that are in the store, it's absolutely buck wild. And another thing is I would like to know, and I'm kind of looking it up right now, I would like to note that Call of Duty, if you ever notice, always fixes the store first. And I'm going to see if I can scroll all the way back, but I might not be able to. Whenever Warzone launched with Black Ops 6, there was a ton of issues. But the first thing that they went and fixed was a bunch of problems with the store. And again, I don't know if I can even find this, but there made no sense for that. There was no sense made that the first thing they fixed over and over and over was the store, even though you could purchase the items from the store. However, you literally couldn't even use them. They didn't fix the fact that you couldn't use them. They fixed the fact that they weren't purchasable. Are you freaking kidding me? It is absurd. If you don't ever pay attention to stuff like that, that's fine. But I do always think it's very, very laughable that Call of Duty on repeat, and by the way, I couldn't find all the tweets because they are stacked way back. There's been a lot of updates as of lately, and shout out to Raven. Thank you very much. But man, I just want to point out that they will always fix the ability to purchase more than they will your ability to be able to use these items, which is insane to me. And the fact that it costs almost half of what the main title, Black Ops 6, costs, it's probably technically 1/3. The fact that it costs 1/3 of the game is insane. Are you freaking kidding? There's like 3,000 COD point bundles and stuff like that. And I get it. People love getting those skins, but boy, oh boy, man, that is crazy. Can we make some of these unlockable? Cause that is just very rude. Or make a way to where we can get COD points. I don't know how we have to do it, but make there be some way. That was a terrible, let there be some way that we can get COD point. I gotta stop whacking my mic in the game. I want to be able to get COD points in the game by just, spending time in it. I realize this comes with its caveats, like people being able to fake grind for it or whatever. Make it difficult. I don't give a damn, but make it where people don't have to spend money on the game to get the COD points. I don't know if this is a terrible idea, and somebody can tell me in a comment why I'm stupid. I get it. That's absolutely fine. But I would love it if people did care. These developers, the companies behind the developers, I wish that they cared a little bit more about making it actually about the fun rather than actually about the monetization. And it's just so apparent now that everything's about money, and that's okay. We get it. Everybody's got to make their money, but at the same time, can we not bold-faced lie about things?
Come out and say it. If you would also like to maximize
the way that he said it, immediately he goes, come out and say it. Exactly, damn it.
Nice fun. How about giving players the ability to turn off shop bundles if they don't want to see them? I've been meaning to talk about.
All right. That will never happen. This one, I thought about this the other day. I thought about this exact thing, and I sat there and I was like, what? Why don't they allow people to just turn it off, right? Why don't they allow these people that really want to have a milsim game just be able to turn off the stupid shark skin? I don't want to see Nicki Minaj's ass or chesticles in front of me anymore. Is that wrong? Is that okay? I don't want to see her booty. I don't want that shiny pink ass right here. All right. Is that cool with everybody? Realistically, it can't happen. All right. And I'll give you a very clear explanation as to why. It would be unfair. One, because unless everybody had the ability to do that, which, fine, but it would be unfair to the people that spent the money on the skins. This is goofy. I realize it would be unfair to the people that spent money on the skins. They want everybody to see it, right? That's step one. But the other thing is that people would just stop buying skins altogether. Just altogether. And it's because it would become meta. I know that sounds goofy, but it would absolutely become meta to be able to just use default milsim skins in the game. Because if everybody's just doing that, then they would lose a crap load of money, because what happens is these mill skims are usually a little bit darker, unless they made every single person in the game very white, very, very Caucasian. It would definitely be the meta, because there's a lot of like darker hide in corner kind of skins that you literally just cannot see, like rose skin type vibes that you just cannot see in the game. And they're usually just built in. Now there are things like, what's his name? The big old guy, you know what I'm talking? He's got the big old wiener. What is it? Black Noir. He's obviously a purchase skin, which would be meta to use that. But the big thing is that it lowers their profits, because a ton of people are going to cut it off. A ton of people are going to cut off. So if other people feel like, hey, I bought this skin and nobody gets to see it, why are they going to buy it? Now you could say, well, they bought it for themselves. No, they didn't. No, they didn't. No one buys a skin for themselves. I'll be honest. No one buys it for themselves. I do not ever buy a big purple skin so that I can't have a conversation about it with a random dude in the game. That's the reality of it. That's the reality. If you buy skins for yourself, think hard about that. Did you though? Did you buy that? Well, unless it's like, again, unless it's like a big booty skin, maybe you bought that for yourself because you a horny dog. And you know what? Fair enough. Fair enough. But really? Are you okay? You okay? There's other ways. Are you spending money in Call of Duty to just look at booty all day? That's crazy out of you. I'm not gonna lie. That's crazy. That's crazy out of you. But the big thing, it would never happen. It's physically not possible, because Call of Duty would lose so much profit because everybody's cutting it off that it would just not be a good idea for them. So of course it would be cool. I would love to be able to cut off these skins, but it's just not ever gonna happen. Just like turning off crossplay completely, never gonna happen, because they're gonna lose out a ton of money. And I'd love to have that conversation one day. Today's not the day. There's so many technical issues behind crossplay that y'all have no idea how much it would mess up their business model to actually cut off crossplay between PC and Xbox and PlayStation. The amount of money spent on PC and the PC players leaving and things like that because of that, because there's so little players that'll be playing on PC, that the amount of cheaters, like blatant cheaters, that they're going to fight against is going to be rough. And you're kind of just alienating a whole audience. It's a whole thing. One day I'll have the conversation with you, and I know that no one's ever going to care about the conversation, but I do think it's an important conversation to have. But my point is, just like crossplay is not going anywhere ever, just ever.
About this for a while, but I see you guys in the comments, and I see it on social media as well. There are millions, I'm estimating here, but millions and millions of players who do not want green dragons shooting rainbows at them within their multiplayer experience. So why not let them turn that stuff off? Why not?
In fact, I think certain tracers are 100% pay to win, and you physically cannot turn that off. So I absolutely agree that I'd love to personally turn it off, but again, it's just not going to happen.
I'll give you the option to get rid of shop bundles on your end, the client side, because we already know you can do that. There's an option, if you guys don't know, to turn off gore effects within Black Ops 6. And if you do that, those weapon blueprints that like turn you into a bunch of goo or shoot like giant lights at you and everything, it turns all of that off essentially on.
Not all of it. Like I said, there's still tracers that show up and you can't get rid of it. It's physically impossible. There are tracers that will just beam right at you and you can't see a goddamn thing. So no, that does not turn that off. It only turns off you exploding, or you like turning into goo, or you like falling on the ground and like disintegrating into a skeleton. Stuff like that is what it turns off. It does not turn off tracer effects.
Your end. So they could very easily make it so if somebody's using a shop bundle, that would be turned off on your end via an option, and you would just be playing normal Call of Duty again without rainbows and monsters and unicorns and all this stuff running around on Vorkuta, for example. You know what I mean? So they could easily do that, but I don't think they're going to, because the players, the poor people who paid $30 to look like a raccoon, what about them? Who cares, man? They still have the skin appear for them on their screen and the screens of anyone else who decided to keep the paid skins option on. So what's it matter? Do you really want the satisfaction of people knowing that you paid $30 to look like a raccoon? Like, it doesn't seem to benefit really.
Again, yes, it would be unfair to those players, and that is the reason that Call of Duty will give. However, it is about profit. They will make less money if people can just turn off the skins, because when you see somebody using a skin that you know is broken, you would like to turn that off, right? You see somebody using the Black Noir skin, which I am using every goddamn day. Every day I'm using that skin because it is the most broken skin in the game. Every single day, that's what I'll be using, right? But they do not in any capacity want to lose out money, and no one wants to have their skin that they paid money for be any less broken.
anybody to not have this feature in the game. There should absolutely be an option to turn off shop bundles within Black Ops 6 so you don't have to see them on your end, but I doubt Activision will ever fully commit to that. But ladies and gentlemen,
again, in a perfect world, that would be a great idea. I would love to see, in a perfect world, those skins be gone. I do not, and I think a lot of people get confused when I make these videos. I'm not here to suck off either one party, right? You know, whether it be streamers, content creators, you know, Treyarch, Raven, Activision, whoever pays me, you know, YouTube. I'm not gonna YouTube, Twitch, whatever it is, whoever sends me the most money. I'm not here to, right? I think overall everything comes down to my integrity. So just to be clear, I'm just sharing my opinion, okay? So I'm not gonna back up Activision in the fact that they have these skins. I think it would be a great idea if we could turn that off, but it's never going to happen. The world's not perfect. Everything comes down to money, right? Everything is about profitability. That's why over and over and over, we have seen these companies lay off their quality assurance testers. And then all of a sudden things come down to AI, which is the final thing that I kind of want to talk about here. And we might have a full video talking about this, but ironically, this is kind of how it all started. I saw a tweet from Iceman Isaac that said AI art that can't count fingers plus AI anti-cheat that can't ban cheaters, COD is chalk. Now, obviously, a lot of y'all know about this picture where the zombie has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 fingers, right? And it's become very well known that Call of Duty has been using AI in a bunch of different things, specifically the anti-cheat, which does absolutely nothing. I don't know if we know that. The AI does absolutely nothing. The only thing that the AI does is it's able to recognize our voices better. That way, they can hear when we're mean to people in the game. That way, they can make sure that they ban us so that we can't be mean to anybody whatsoever. Because it's a very, very PG game, and we got to make sure that everybody's very nice to everybody, and everybody's super sweet. Because if we're not super sweet, then that's just wrong. And First Amendment means nothing. It means nothing to them, okay? Is what it is. But the big thing is AI is being used. And that's kind of the big thing that I wanted to talk about, is that there is this big problem in Call of Duty where they're actually using a lot more AI because they've laid off so many people. They recently laid off a ton of 2D artists. And because of that, the people that still work there are being told to use AI to make the art, you know, better or whatnot. And that's why we're getting things like this. But what you don't know is there's also AI being used on the other end. I recently got a message in Discord from someone that has watched me for years. And they said, hey, I want to let you know these guys that are not working with Activision anymore are using AI, and it's horrendous that they have no idea how to do work. I had a guy that, you know, tried to get a job with me. I don't know if I'm going to be able to find this, but the dude that watched me, he said, I had a guy that tried to get a job with me. And, here it is. Basically, this guy was a software QA for the team that applied at my work. Can I move this? For the team that applied at my work, at my work for an open role. This guy was the worst candidate I've ever interviewed. Had a I'm better than you kind of attitude. And on top of that, we gave him a simple task of given XYZ scenario, build a test plan, list of actions, and all scenarios you can think of to test to see if it works. This typically took candidates about 15 to 20 minutes. This guy takes 3 minutes, then hands it back to me. I say to him, wow, that was quick, good work. To which he tells me, yeah, I used ChatGPT to write it. Apparently it was, he said it was what we did at my old work as it saved a lot of time. Apparently this was the worst plan they've ever had. It did zero coverage for the thing that they need covered, and they didn't hire him, but apparently it made him understand why the game and Activision is in its current state. Long story short, AI is being used for a lot more than you think it is, and usually it's doing a terrible job because right now we're not in a world where AI can do all the things that people think that it can do. In fact, if you go and look at things like, and obviously this is way off topic, but if you go and look at things like Sora and then you try and get it to do things that are like, I don't know, legs crossing, right? You got somebody walking. If you watch their legs cross, it'll get confused as to what leg is what leg because you still can't tell what's going on if you're an AI computer. Don't get me wrong, there are some really smart AIs, and it's incredibly terrifying if you actually look into it, but they're not entirely perfect at doing things that are art. And truly, Truly, Call of Duty is art. Game design is art, and they're not perfect at being the artist. And that's where we're seeing all these things that don't make sense, is because they're like, write a code that makes this blah, 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 blah. So just know that a lot of these bugs are probably due to some AI. I'm not saying there's not people that are working their asses off and kind of messing up here and there. That's obviously a thing, but I am saying that there's a lot of chat GPT going on behind closed door. There's a lot of AI things going on behind closed door, and it's probably leading to a lot of problems in the mechanics that we're seeing. Just to wrap all the way back around to the goal of this video, which is talking about mechanics in Warzone. So at the end of the day, I would love to hear down below, what is it? And this is the question of the day. If you made it this far in the video, super far in the video, if you made it this far in the video, the question of the day is this: what is it that is missing from the Warzone now, or is broken in the Warzone now, that was in the Modern Warfare 3 version of Warzone that you want to see make a return? That's my question. That's my question. And I swear to God, if some of y'all say backpacks, I'm going to spank you raw. I swear to God, don't say backpacks. Anyway, thank y'all. Hope you have an incredible day. Thank you for watching the video. If you enjoy, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button, because we drop videos every single day on the channel. I love you. We're going to spectate and do random duos soon. So see you there. I'll be seeing you there, you son of a gun, you. Get out of here.